Hey everybody, it's Tanner here with Adulting Life Skills coming at you with another house project. I am currently standing in my tub because what we are doing today is installing some shiplap on our ceiling. I did a shiplap project a few weeks ago in our kitchen. I actually did a kitchen backsplash behind our sink and it turned out really nice and it was actually pretty simple to do. So I figured I'd make a video, show you guys how to do it. So the first thing that you need to do, whether it's doing it on a wall or it's doing it on a ceiling, you need to prep the space first. So what I had to do to prep this space, I had to take down any light fixtures that were currently in here, AC vents, stuff like that. Make sure obviously you turn off the breaker that corresponds with that room. Remove everything that needs to be removed before you get started. Don't want to shock yourself. That wouldn't be a good way to start this project. So once everything's removed, we have to mark the studs. So just like in a wall, ceiling also has joists that are running across that you need to mark. So that is what you're actually going to nail the actual material to. If you don't nail the material to a stud, the material won't hold, and you'll be sitting in your bathroom one day and a ceiling will be on your lap, and that would not be fun. So to mark your studs, what you're going to need is a pin, a stud finder. I am using the Stud Buddy. This thing is awesome. Again, not endorsed by Stud Buddy, but I wish I was because they are freaking awesome. It is a super simple thing, no batteries, anything like that. Essentially all this is a magnet. And in your studs, there's going to be nails, and it's going to find these nails, and you're going to use that to locate your studs. And then what I have is a 2-foot level right here. This 2-foot level is what I'm going to do is essentially once I mark the studs, I'm going to connect the dots. Once those dots are connected, then we can mark them all the way across and use those as a guideline. So I'm going to go ahead and set you guys down. I'm going to go ahead and get these studs all marked up, and then we can get started. Sounds like a plan. So you're going to want to make sure that the shiplap that you install is going to run the opposite direction of the direction of the studs. As you see, the studs are running vertically this way. So the shiplap, here's a piece just to give you a heads up, is going to want to run this way. And just like I said many times before, the reason you want to run it this way is to make sure that you grab onto each and every one of these studs marked to make sure that this material adheres properly. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start actually on this side and work my way towards you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and take my first measurement for my first piece over in that corner and then go from there. I'm not going to go ahead and assume that the first piece that I measure is going to be the exact same all the way across. In a perfect world, it would be, but this is not a perfect world. This is an old house, and I'm assuming that each and every piece is going to be slightly different from the last. And that's going to be in any house, old or new. You're just going to have to work with it, but just take them one piece at a time and you'll get it done. And once we get all wrapping up towards the end, I will promise you, caulk is going to be your best friend. It might not be the prettiest once it's all finished, but once you caulk in all the seams all around there, caulk in all the little nail holes, it's going to give it a nice coat of paint. It is going to look wonderful. So let's go ahead and get started. So I went ahead and cut my first piece. Now, one thing I didn't go over with you, now this board is just standard shiplap board that is already primed that you can get from any big box hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. As you see, it does have the grooves on either this side and this side. Let me just go ahead and I can take this smaller piece just to show you. That's actually how they're going to interlock with one another. What we're going to go ahead and do, like I said, I did get this measured and cut. Now, if you do have a table saw is the way to go to get the most precise cuts. Make sure you are using a straight edge to get your straight edge when you take your measurement and draw that straight line right there and make your cut. I didn't have my table saw handy, so I went ahead and I just used circular saw. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Don't worry about that. Worry about getting it close and getting it up there, making sure it fits properly. And then, like I said, caulk is going to be your best friend. So what I have is I have my Ryobi brad nailer. So a brad nailer is the proper tool that you're going to want to use to adhere the boards to these studs. This one's really nice because a lot of your brad nailers are actually going to use an air compressor. This one's not. This one's battery powered, which is really, really nice. Make sure you consult your owner's manual when installing. One thing I was having an issue with when I first was using this brad nailer, it wasn't wanting to grab properly. But what I found out is actually on the back of this one, which I will show you. It has this little adjustment right here, which adjusts actually how much pressure is forcing the nail out. And I didn't have the pressure high enough, which means the nail wasn't grabbing properly. So I just adjusted it up, and then they were able to grab. So you'll want to make sure you want to just consult your owner's manual with whichever brad nailer you are using. I would suggest using about 1.5 inch brad nails, or maybe you can even get away with an inch. I wouldn't go anything smaller than an inch because you do want to make sure it is going to grab. So let's go ahead and get this first one started. Okay, so first board is installed. I went ahead and used my brad nailer and nail along each stud. Now I did place nails both towards the wall portion back here and towards the middle of the board, and then also along the tongued portion of this board, which does connect to the next board. Now for the second board and then every board there on after, you're not going to want to use as many nails. I just use as many nails. I always do that on the first board to make sure I get a nice level platform and then go from there. So I want to go ahead and show you guys. Here's a little scrap piece right here. Obviously, this is a tongue and groove product, meaning this little tongue that sticks out is what interlocks with the next one. So here's the little groove right here. And I'm going to go ahead and place the board up. You see it locks in nicely right here. So for your nails on your second board and then every board there on after, all you're going to want to do is place one nail along the tongue and groove portion that connect each and every board. So you'll shoot one right there and then along each stud that you've marked. Obviously that makes for a lot less nail holes, and that's the proper way to install this product. So I'm going to go ahead and get measuring, get hanging the rest of these, and I'll get back with you guys soon. Alright everybody, so Shiplap is officially up on our bathroom ceiling. I am super happy with the progress so far. Did this over the weekend. The next thing we need to do is actually get this surface prepped and ready for paint. Before we do that, I did want to go over some of the more specific cuts you may encounter when installing Shiplap, whether that be on a ceiling or even on a wall. Some of the more specific cuts I need to make a specific cut for this AC vent right here, for this bathroom exhaust fan, and also I had to make this circular cut right here for this little recessed light. To make those cuts, I actually use what's called a multi-tool, or some have heard it called a Dremel, which is a brand of a multi-tool. What a multi-tool or a Dremel is going to do is going to make smaller, more precise cuts in smaller pieces of wood, which is exactly what you need for this application. The one thing that I will tell you to do is the tried and true: measure twice, cut once, And always use what's called a square or a straight edge to draw your straight lines and follow those lines to make those cuts. If you do that, take your time, you should have no problem breezing through all of this. Next, let's go ahead and go over what we need to do to get this surface prepped and ready for paint. First thing you're going to need is caulk and a caulk gun. For the type of caulk to use for your application, any type of interior latex-based caulk should do the trick. Obviously, if you are doing it in a wet area, make sure the caulk is moisture resistant. Most caulks are. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to caulk all around the seams of all four sides where the shiplap meets the actual tile wall. For the little nail holes, now remember, all of your nail holes should be between the tongue and the groove of each adjoining section along each stud. That is the correct way to install this. As I said earlier in this video, you can use caulk to fill these little holes right here. If you have extra caulk laying around, feel free to use it. Now, what I actually like to use is what's called, oh, lid just dropped, painter's putty. Painter's putty and a little putty knife. I find that using any sort of putty like this, one, actually dries quicker, and two, it seems to actually fill these little nail holes a little bit better, in my personal opinion. Now, it's completely your choice. As long as everything's all sealed up properly and cleaned properly, you'll be ready for paint. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Alrighty, everybody, we are officially finished with our shiplap ceiling in our bathroom. I am dirty, I am sweaty, I am covered in paint, but I am very, very happy with the final product, and I'm going to go enjoy myself a much-deserved beer after finishing this up. But before I go and do that, I want to go ahead and explain to you guys the final steps we need to take to finish this project off. Obviously, we got all the seams caulked and those nail holes filled with wood putty. Now, you can wait just a few hours to let that stuff cure and throw your paint on right afterwards. But if you have the time, obviously you see I do have a wardrobe change. It is the next day, so I did wait 24 hours to actually let that stuff cure before I threw paint on. I would suggest doing that because obviously the longer that stuff cures, the better it's going to hold the paint that you put on it. And lastly, when you do paint, choose your paint wisely. This is a ceiling application, obviously, so I just chose a standard interior flat ceiling paint. But if you are going to be placing this product on a wall, I would suggest getting a more durable satin or semi-gloss or maybe an eggshell paint that has some sort of sheen to it. Obviously, the higher the sheen the paint has, the more that it's going to be durable to actually wear and tear. Just keep that in mind. But make sure you guys like and subscribe Adulting Life Skills for more life hacks, recipes, and how-tos. See you guys next time. Thank you.